This show is supported by Odoo. When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com. This show is supported by Blueland. We hear a lot about microplastics in oceans and food, but they can also come from products we use every day at home, including cleaning products. Blueland is on a mission to make it easy for everyone to make sustainable choices. Blueland believes that hardworking, clean products can be the norm, not the exception, so that you can do better for your family and the planet at the same time. From cleaning sprays and toilet bowl cleaner to dishwasher and laundry detergent tablets, Blueland's products are independently tested to perform alongside major brands, and the formulas are free from dyes, parabens, and harsh chemicals. You'll love not having to choose between the safe option and what actually gets your house clean. Blueland is a certified B Corp and Leaping Bunny cruelty-free certified. Their formulas are EPA's Safer Choice certified, and many products have also earned Cradle to Cradle's Gold Material Health Certificate. If you're looking to make a small change in your routine, you can get 15% off your first order at blueland.com/prx. Get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/prx. blueland.com/prx.
Hey everybody, this is Scoots. This is an all-intro episode. We run these kind of on long weekends every once in a while. They're a listener favorite for a lot of listeners, but we also put out two all-intro episodes on Sleep With Me Plus for Boar Besties and Boar Friends. And there's big news because I reached out to the Boar Friends and the Boar Besties, and we're upgrading the all-intros to be similar to this one, where there's only the theme music only plays once during the first episode. So if you love all intros, you get a feed, a podcast, I guess, like on Sleep With Me Plus with just all intros and all night episodes, which are 4 to 8 hour compilations. And that's the same on Patreons for the Boar Friends and the Boar Besties. But then Boar Buds on Sleep With Me Plus, you still get these episodes like this one as all intro with ad-free in your ad-free full episode feed, as well as in your story-only feed, which is kind of funny. So anyway, thanks so much for listening. If you support the show, I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy this all-intro episode. If not, there's plenty other stuff out there. But at least this one doesn't have any theme music after the first one. Thanks and good night. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary. It's time for the podcaster with the creaky, dulcet tones. That most people say, what, creaky, dulcet tones? What does that even mean? And I'm not sure that's for me. And I say, well, those are good points. Let me see how we do. Because really what I'm here to do is not ever get to the point or just barely approach a point and then go around it. All to keep you company, take your mind off stuff, and help you fall asleep, because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots, and I want to talk to a very specific group of listeners tonight. Maybe you've listened to the show longer than a year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe even 5 years. And over that time you've been listening to the show, things have been financially tight, right? Well, Olive recently signed up to support the show and told me, yeah, I relied on the free podcast for years when I couldn't afford to support the show. But then Olive's financial situation changed, and Olive was excited to support the podcast back when she could, to keep the show going, to pay it forward, to pay it back, however you want to consider it. And Katie also sent an email about how isolating insomnia can feel, right? In the deep, dark night, just lying there. A lot of us have been there, and it's just you and the deep, dark night. That's what it was like for me, particularly as a kid, alone in my room. Even though somebody else was in the room, even though I was in a house full of people, I felt alone. And that comfort is what made Katie support the show. And then Caleb said, I had no idea my $7 a month could make such a huge difference in the podcast. And knowing that and hearing that is what made me sign up to support the podcast. So if the podcast has got you through tough times financially, or you've been able to flourish financially because of the support of the podcast, and you're in a place where $7 a month, $60 a year, or even $120, $240 a year, you get that much value out of the podcast. You'd pay for it if it was a product in a store or some giant corporation was selling Sleep With Me for $220 a year. Please consider supporting the show now if you can, so that the podcast can be there for the people who aren't in a place to support it. And it can be free for anybody to discover it whenever they need it. It'll be around because of your support, like Caleb, Katie, and Olive. Thank you so much. You can support the show directly at Sleep With Me Plus, sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, or by letting people know about the show and just spreading the word, tagging me on social media, or letting me know through the contact form on our website so I could surprise you. Thank you so much. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is, repeat myself when it's necessary. What I'm going to attempt to do, though, is create a safe place, and repetition, respect, and saying, well, could you give me a second? I'm going to go back and make myself a little bit clearer, though that's not my forte. My favorite, I've said it before, my favorite forte, Will Forte. I see my use of the word forte, not as good as my love of Will Forte. I'm going to try to create a safe place, whether you're a forte, or you're just fortuitous, or neither. I'm going to try to create a safe place here. I'm smoothing it. I'm patting it. I'm rubbing it down. If McGruber, I think McGruber, is it McGruber? I can't pronounce very many words, but McGruber, could you, I don't know if McGruber needs a safe place or McGruber's friends do. But you'd say, like, if there was if I wrote, well, I did write McGruber. I do admit I did write a McGruber After Dark novel. But it was trying to be, like, a little bit romantic, too. It was called The Cave Within My Heart. Then I said, that was my initial title. And I said, well, what does it have to do with, how's that McGrubery, Scoots? And then some part of my brain said, Scoots, are you sure Will Forte played McGruber? And I say, yeah, I'm pretty sure. But okay, Scoots, what were you saying? Well, I was going to, then I said, countdown to the, I said, you're right. I probably have to brainstorm that title. It was a little bit too romantic. The Cave Within My Heart, But it is a sleep podcast, too, so I couldn't say anything like action-packed. Who's McGruber? Or what does this have to do with the sleep podcast in a safe place? Those are great questions. Let me get to them before I move on. So McGruber, maybe you've heard of MacGyver. McGruber was another, like, very similar to MacGyver. But kind of like, well, I guess we do have a good analogy here. Kind of like a regular podcast would have already gotten to the point. If MacGyver is your regular there's no such thing as a regular run-of-the-mill podcast. That's the best thing about podcasting. There's so much out there, and it's all different. But let's just say that MacGyver was a podcast. MacGyver would be like, okay, well, give me that. Okay, give me a couple of pieces of story there, and I'll put it together in a concise way that works. McGruber and Scoots, like, I would be that, I'd say, well, okay, give me some bubble gum. What are you going to do with the bubble gum? Fix this story issue, Scoots? No, I'm going to chew it. I want to have fresh breath while I fix this. But what was McGruber? That's what I was trying to explain, not something else. McGruber's like I don't know if a parody version of a MacGyver, but a less competent MacGyver, but with the heart of MacGyver and the skills of me. Maybe. So, what does any of that have to do with the podcast or the other thing I was supposed to remember? I don't remember the other thing. But what I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. I'm going to go off topic. I'm going to get mixed up. I mean, you've already seen that. Pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, and mixed up stuff. All to take your mind off stuff so you could fall asleep. So whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts. Did I say this already? Thoughts you're thinking about, like things on your mind. Feelings, any feelings coming up for you, physical sensations, changes in schedule or routine. You know, maybe you work a second or third shift. Maybe you're on a break from work, or you're, on call, or maybe you just got, stuff that's keeping you from sleep. Sometimes it's baffling. Yeah, whatever it is, I'm here to take your mind off of that. And that's why I said I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night to do that. Now, a couple of things that in a most MacGruberous way, I don't even know if that's a word, but also now I'm like, wait a second, is MacGruber like the Will Forte character, or was that a character on The Simpsons? I don't know. But so if you're new, a few things to know that you'd say, well, a little late now. I'd say, yep, that's how we do it here. Right on time, barely ever right on time. But a couple of things to know. One, this podcast is not for everybody. So if you're skeptical or doubtful, or you're like, what is with the creaky dulcet tones or pointless meanders? Give it a few tries. And again, the podcast is free. So you could give it a few tries. I'm not even pressuring you to do that, but most listeners, and this is like a pretty steady feedback I get on like a daily basis. They say, hey, it took 2 or 3 tries before I got used to the show and realized it won't ever make any sense. And that's what makes the most sense about it. And then I realized it, then I was like, oh, wait, as soon as I stopped trying to figure out what was going on and accept the fact that it was unfigurable, as soon as I accepted you were no MacGyver, which is my first instinct as soon as you opened your mouth, it's funny, my brain said that person is no MacGyver, and I mean either MacGyver, either. And maybe there's been more than 2 MacGyvers. I only know of 2. There's a younger MacGyver who would say is new MacGyver. Maybe, I don't know. And then there's Richard Dean Anderson MacGyver. And then there's MacGruber. And you say, well, you're more like MacUber. And I'd say like MacUber, like the Uber, MacGuber, I said. Oh, well, yeah, that kind of makes sense. So there's MacGyver, MacGruber, MacGyver 1, MacGyver 2, MacGruber, and I'm MacGuber. And I'm not like a goober. And I'm not sure I can agree to that because I'm not positive what a goober is, because it might be something that's not sleepy. So I got to kind of move on. But if it's something that exists in the world, could we agree to just for now say that term means homemade sparkle slime or slime with the puffy stuff inside? Okay, good. I'm glad we could agree to that. Oh, I'm supposed to be talking about the podcast. You're right. So this podcast is not for everybody, but give it 2 or 3 tries to see how it goes. Oh, because I was saying once the regular listeners realize that I'm much more MacGruber than MacGyver, they said, oh, okay, I get it now. I don't really have to pay attention. He's not going to figure anything out. It would be like that. Like if you said, okay, now give me that. Okay, now give me a bag of jasmine rice. Okay, Give me a magnifying glass. Okay. Okay, now I need some earmuffs. Okay, hand those. Okay, what are you doing? Oh, let me look closer. Hold on. Do you have a cheese stick? Okay, let me put that in there. And okay, now, hold on. I need a break. I just get and then I would take a break. But in this case, I'm coming back to you. So give the show a few tries. That was one thing I should have told you like 11 minutes ago. The second thing to know is, this podcast you don't need to listen to. That's what I was trying to say that whole time. Also, this isn't really a podcast to put you to sleep. It's here to be here, keep you company, and take your mind off stuff as you fall asleep. So I'm kind of like your bore friend, your bore bait, your bore bestie, your bore bud. I'm here to kind of just take your mind off stuff, be at your side, be your companion. Like, what if MacGruber or MacGyver do they have anyone on that show that goes, okay. Like, I would just be handing, like, technically that would be my job. Okay. Chopsticks, okay, there you go. Okay. Okay, well, let me look in the bag. Burlap sack, there you go. Okay. Okay, two eyes made out of coal, there you go, you got it. Button nose, the only button nose I see is on you, MacGyver one. I don't know, is that in term of endearment? So, my job's here to be here to take your mind off stuff, keep you company as you drift off. So, podcasts you don't need to listen to, no pressure to fall asleep. That's why the shows are about an hour. And if you can't sleep or you find yourself you need a break during the day, you want to take a nap, or you just want a little mental escape, this podcast is here for you. Or you wake up during the night. The reason the shows are about an hour is to give you plenty of time to drift off. But if you can't sleep, I'm here to the very end. Like I said, I'm here to keep you company, awake or asleep. So I think one of the things about MacGruber and MacGyver is competence. And then I'm on the other side of competence. Like you'd say, I don't think there's any way you can quibble that MacGyver is highly competent. Either MacGyver or either MacGyver. I was just wondering if Richard Dean Anderson was also in that movie, that show Air Puppy or whatever about the helicopter. I think so. Anyway, so, where was I? I'm not very competent at getting to the point. I'm confident in my incompetence. I mean, that's the truth. Oh, the other thing, and this is way too late to tell you this, but just in case, like the structure of the show is very different. So most podcasts start off, they do a quick intro, then they probably have some business, and then they do like a setup, and then they might have some business, and then they have the thing. Our show is, I guess, kind of like that. We have a greeting, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary, so everybody would say hello to everybody. Then we do business for a few minutes. Then we have an intro, which goes from like minute 4 or minute 6 to about minute 20, 22. And the intro just kind of goes on like we've been doing tonight, where I kind of get distracted and follow those distractions wherever they're going. And so for the new listener, you could say, what is this? But the regular listener, what it does is it eases you into bedtime, or it gives you a chance to get ready for bed, or to start your wind down routine. Or if you're in bed, it gives you a chance to get comfortable. Your familiar friend Scoots is here. And instead of like an action-packed night of, dreamy hunks like the MacGyvers, or, I mean, talk about a hunk, in my opinion, Will Forte. He's making you laugh and easy on the eyes, I'd say. So, like, instead of that, you say, I don't know what my point was. Instead of that, you say, oh, okay, Scoots is here. I'm just going to kind of barely listen. Yeah, my friend's here to keep me company and not get to the point. I don't have to worry about it. He's just going to go, Instead of like, okay, what are we dealing with here? Okay, we got the ticking clock, MacGruber. We got to figure it out. So, okay, so there's that, and then I don't know so that's the intro. Then there's some business. Then there'll be a story, like a bedtime story. Tonight it'll just be a one-off kind of random thing. And then there's some thank yous and some good nights at the end. So that's the structure of the show. And I think that's kind of everything. The only thing left to tell you is like the reason I make the show. And I make the show, one, because I've been there. I know how it feels. I woke up this morning wicked early and I couldn't get back to sleep. But I've also have trouble trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep. Tossing and turning, all that stuff I've dealt with. And I know how it feels, and it doesn't feel good to me. And it's nice to have someone there to keep you company and take your mind off of stuff, in my opinion. So I hope I could provide that for you. But more important than that is you. And it's my belief and my knowledge that you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a place where you can rest and get away. And I hope I can provide that for you. Now, like I said, it doesn't work for everybody. So you can check out sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you for other stuff. But that's really why I'm here, is to see if I can help. So let's see how it goes. Like most listeners say, guess see how it goes 2 or 3 times. Then you realize, it's kind of going nowhere-ish, somewhere. It's the maps. It's kind of like figuring out one of those mazes that's really complicated, like with a crayon, and you say, well, my crayon is it's one of those, the crayon is wider than the maze. I'd say, well, that's a perfect analogy for sleep with me. Complicated maze where the crayon is wider than the maze. I'm amazed you came up with that, and I can understand it, but it barely makes sense to even me. So I'm glad you're here. I really appreciate you checking the show out, giving me your time, and I really hope I yearn and I strive because I want to help you fall asleep. And here's a couple ways we're able to bring this show for free. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, things on your mind, thoughts you're thinking about, thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time or temperature. So let's see, things you're thinking about, repetitive stuff. So things from the past, present, or future. Sometimes my brain repeats itself in podcast intros and at night. Actually, I don't want to get into that, but that is one kind of dreaming I do. I was doing it last night. Repetitive, dreamy problem solving. That is something that doesn't keep me awake. It's like trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep there. But it could be physical sensations, feelings, whatever it is that's keeping you awake. I'd like to take your mind off of that. And let's see. Well, yeah, I'd like to take your mind off that. I'd like to keep you company and help you fall asleep. That's my goal. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm trying to establish a safe place where you feel comfortable, particularly if you're new, or reestablish it if you're a regular listener. And, I'm going to, try to establish that. I'm going to try to smooth it. I'm going to pat it. I'm going to rub it down. I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, superfluous tangents, sending my voice across the deep, dark night. Oh, yeah, repetitive stuff. But I'm really here to keep you company and take your mind off stuff while you fall asleep. If you're new, I guess I'm a little bit, my brain's a little bit foggy. But so here's the thing. If you're new, I'm glad you're here. If you're wondering what's going on, or when I'm going to get to the point or any of that stuff, or you're feeling skeptical or doubtful, welcome. You're in the right place. If you're feeling skeptical, you're in the right place. And I don't know how many, like, what the statistics are in skepticism. And you say, well, this is how many things skeptics agree on. They say, well, not much. I'm skeptical about those numbers, Scoots. And they'd say, well, no wonder you're skeptical. I don't even have any numbers. But like one thing that people, they're doubtful. I'm trying to think of a joke and a way to actually tie this in a useful way. But if you're skeptical, I'm skeptical, and many of our regular listeners are not only are skeptical in general, they were skeptical about this podcast and doubtful about it. So if that's your thing, of course you're going to be skeptical or doubtful. What do you mean? You're going to put me to sleep? When are you going to get started? What are you doing? Why is your voice so creaky and dulcet? What are creaky dulcet tones? I say, yeah, those are legitimate concerns, totally. And then I'm not being sarcastic. It's shared by most regular listeners of the show. So let me address a couple of them. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're doubtful. That means it's important to you. So that's good. So. Oh, yeah. So a lot of people share that. So a couple of things to know. Yeah. One, this is a podcast you just barely listen to. So you don't really need to listen to it too much or pay attention. It's a podcast you kind of just passively listen to it. Just like when you're pretending. And again, we're here in a safe place so we could talk about this. Just like when you're pretending you're listening during the day, even less effort than that because you don't have to hide it. So you mean I can pretend to listen without pretending to listen? And I say, yeah. Like, how about that? Like you finally get the cover is taken off when you put your covers on, you could pretend to listen without pretending, but in a way that has pretend. That's kind of fun. And you say, wait a second, you lost me there, Scoots. I'd say, well, I'm doing my job then. But what I mean is, like during the day, and I'm good at this, unfortunately. It's a strategy I've used my whole life. You say, you make a lot of eye contact. You try to use good body movement. You can sense my body movement even there. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy, you're kidding me. Really? Okay. And then what happened? Okay. Oh, man, she didn't know. Oh. Well, I could see that. I could see how you'd feel like. So that's pretend like it takes other skills. But if you're lying in bed with me, I'm glad you're not listening to me. So you can cut all that other stuff out, and then have the good parts to pretend. You could like when you're playing like kid stuff. You say, oh boy, Scoots, oh boy, pointless meander. Oh, osh, gosh, bagosh, Scoots, And now if you have a partner or somebody that snores a lot, what if you start doing that? Oh boy. Yep. Just listen to me like that for a while. And they say, what are you doing? You say, I don't know. I was asleep. Was I snoring? And they'd say, no, it sounded like you were saying, Well, I don't know. I was asleep. So maybe that's how I snore. I don't know. And then just wait for them to go. That's a little bit passive, but you could do that. If it's going to help you, it's soothing. Like, can you hear me relax? Oh boy. You're relaxed, huh, Scoots? Okay, you're doing a podcast intro? What are you going to do now? Okay. Yeah, okay. So, what was my you don't need to listen to me. That was my main point. So that's, if you're new, one thing, you don't have to listen. You could just barely listen in a very loose, unfocused way. This is also, I guess it's irony. Like the podcast does not put you to sleep. It's here to keep you company while you fall asleep. So I'm here to walk at your side and tell you a story or just go on and on with an intro as you drift off. And that's the reason the shows are about an hour, is you have plenty of time. You can fall asleep whenever you fall asleep. And if you can't sleep for some reason, I'm going to be here. I'll be here keeping you company to the very end. So that's so it's a podcast you don't need to listen to. It's a podcast that doesn't really put you to sleep, but more keeps you company, and then you fall asleep. So those are two things you might need to know. What else do you need to know? What else? Structurally. This is another thing that can throw people off. Structurally, the show is different, too. It starts off with a greeting, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary. Then it goes to that's so you know you're welcome. This is the spot where you're welcome. I'll try to create a safe place. Then there's business. Business about 6 minutes. I don't know. It's 8 minutes. That's what keeps the podcast out twice a week. Then there's an intro, which is from around minute 6 to 8 to minute 20, 22. And the intro is what we're in the middle of here, which is where I over-explain what the pod. For a new listener, you say, what are you doing? The first time most people listen, that's one of the things they say. What is he doing? Actually, what are you doing? I don't know. I don't get this. This is supposed to put me to sleep. This is a very, very common theme. And you say, when's the podcast? I thought you were when are you going to get to that? You say, well, I'll get there eventually. But first I want to explain to you what the podcast is and what to expect. And that takes, about a third of you say, okay, so explaining to me the podcast takes like a third of the podcast. I'd say more or less, sometimes maybe 25%. Yeah, somewhere between 25% and 33%, I would say. Maybe even sometimes 35%. I'm not good with percentages, but I can see it on a progress bar. So, yeah, that's the intro. So the intro is the business throws some people off, but the intro really throws people off because a lot of people think it's just part of the business, but it is I'm in the business putting you to sleep and taking your mind off stuff. I'm in the business of making content that you don't need to listen to. So it can be tough at first because you say, okay, I don't understand how to do that. You say, I say, I get it. Your whole life you've been told to put some work. If you're going to pretend to listen, you better pretend you're listening. Like instead of go ahead, pretend listen. That's like, this is not stuff we're raised to do. For some reason we live in a world where we're raised to pretend to listen to people instead of playing pretend to listen. You say, which is more fun and very soothing. So that's why the intro can throw people off. But it's also just because it takes forever and you feel like, well, is this ever going to get started? And I say, well, when you're asking that on the second or third time you listen to the show, you'll realize, oh, that's part of it. It takes forever to get started. But for a regular listener, what can happen is after you listen for a little while, you say, well, you know what I like to do is start the podcast before I even get ready for bed, when I'm sitting on the couch with the lights down. Or you say, you know what I like to get comfortable, get in bed, and then press play. Or for some people, they say, well, I like to start it at 3 a.m. when I wake up. Or some listeners listen back to back to back to back to back episodes, times 8 or 9 or 10. So you'll find what works for you. And there's about 2% of people that just skip ahead. They start the show at 20, 22 minutes, or they listen to story-only episodes on Patreon because they don't want the intros. And there's also a percentage of listeners that either only hear the intro or listen to all intro episodes on Patreon over and over and over. Or there's listeners that listen to the same episodes. So there's just so many different ways you'll eventually find. And then maybe you'll adjust and change how you like to listen to the podcast. Maybe it won't work for you, but the intro is kind of a part of that. It's part of ideally, it gives you a chance to wind down and get some distance from the day and start to pretend that you care about what I'm talking about. In any other context, that would sound nearly obscene, right? But in this context, you say, go ahead, pretend like you care what I'm talking about. I hope you barely care what I'm saying. That's how we practice caring around here. And it's the truth. The regular listeners are laughing because they know that's where the heart of this podcast is and the soul of it is like, I care enough that you don't need to care. You could just say, Scoots, So that's the intro. Then there's business, because that's just how the structure of the business is. Then there's the episode, and then there'll be some thank yous and good nights. So that's the structure of the show. What else do you need to know? Oh, the reason I make the show is because I've been there. Like I said, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep, all those things. And so if I can help you, it would be my honor, because I know how it feels there in the deep, dark night. Like I said, lately, or at different times, a lot of the time, one of the things that happens for me is this repetitive dreaming stuff. And I don't want to get too deep into it. And sometimes it's like things are going good. And then, like lately, then some part of my subconscious or medium conscious is like... trying to solve these problems, but it's never in some, these are like the dreams you like, it's in a gray zone, but there's nothing exciting going on. And I don't even know, it's like rote tasks. That's what it is. And my brain was doing it last night, very much like filing, but it wasn't. It was trying to solve some bigger problem. And I said, holy cow, can we, did we get that figured out? Like I woke up twice, and one of my strategies, it doesn't work for everybody, but lately is get up, go, visit the WC if needed, but even not, just go for a walk and look out the window or something, then get back in bed. I call it a reset. And sometimes that works. And you could put on the podcast, or maybe it's already playing, so then you could start listening to me again. But one of the reasons I make the show is because I know how it feels, and it's frustrating sometimes. It's frustrating to even have to do a reset. You say, what about that other person? They sleep through the night every night. But not for some of us. It's not easy. So if I can help with that, it's my honor. The other reason I make the show is because you deserve it. You deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a safe place. And if I can't provide that for everyone, but if I could provide it for you, it'd be great, because you'll get the rest you need. You can fully live your life, or a little bit more fully. You can be rested. And that's a beautiful thing. So that's another reason I make the show, because I say, well, that'd be pretty nice, helping somebody else out. I know how they feel. Their life will be a little bit better. The world will be a little bit better. So you deserve it. That's why I make the show. Now, it doesn't work for everybody, but thousands and thousands and thousands of people have said, give it 2 or 3 tries, because it takes some getting used to, because the podcast is so different. And I don't say that because I don't win either way. I don't gain any benefit from people listening to the show. It's like people that are involved with the show. So the only reason I want you to listen 2 or 3 tries is to see if it helps you or not. Because those are real people that support, keep the show going, are the people that it's like a 2-way street. So don't worry about it. I'm not trying to get you to listen to more podcasts for my benefit, other than if it works for you, it's great. And then if not, you say, well, I tried it and I still don't like Scooter. That's a common reaction too. And you see, but then I checked out Sleepy or Sleep Cove or Get Sleepy or Miette's Bedtime Stories, my friend Harris's Sleep Whispers. I checked out another Empty Bowl, and that worked for me. So you could try that too. So I guess that's it. I mean, give the show a few tries. I really hope it can help you. I really appreciate you checking the podcast out. I really yearn and I strive to help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways we keep this show going for everybody. Thanks. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, things you're thinking about on your mind, feelings, any emotions coming up for you, so things you're feeling, physical sensations. So, anything on your mind, past, present, or future, anything emotionally coming up or physically, whatever's keeping you awake. It could be something else, something you can't quite put your finger on, or someone lying next to you, be it human or in pet form, that's either generating snores, heat, gas, movement, And this is probably something you can only say within the confines of a sleep podcast. But if you're listening to the show, you probably relate to it. And I'll just say it for you because you can't say it in public. You say to that snoring, sweet, sweet one right next to you, you know, your comfort is really making me uncomfortable. Oh, you're resting so sweetly. Is really not helping me get any sleep. And it could be, but not, that's what I'm really here for. I guess I'm making a joke about it kind of, but really that's why I'm here. I'm here to, take your mind off whatever's keeping you awake. So if it's that, you say, man, this is frustrating. How can this person fall asleep instantly and snore like a dump truck while the dump truck's going by right after, you know how it is. But it could also be changes in time, temperature, routine, whatever it is that is keeping you awake. I'm here to take your mind off stuff, to distract you. So what I'm going to do, or what I propose what I propose and intend to do, is create a safe place where you could set all that aside. I'm going to smooth it. I'm going to pat it. I'm going to rub it down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. So I'm going to go off topic. I'm not going to make a whole lot of sense and not get to the point. And I'm going to do all those things so you don't have to pay attention to me and you can fall asleep. Now, if you're a regular listener, thanks again for coming back. I'm so glad I can help you and be here to try to create this safe place for you and really, make it. I hope I'm doing my best to give you a nice, can I pat it, smooth it, pat it, rub it down? You want me to air anything out, move anything around? Do you have any pets I could pet for you? Or you want me to just look at the fish and talk comforting to your fish, your plants, or to you? How about that? You say pets, fish. That fish got fed 4 hours ago. I say, no, don't worry, fish. I'll talk comforting to, how about I talk comforting to everyone or just to you? Also, there's no wrong answer. You could say, yeah, forget the fish and the pets and this snoring lumberer next to me. Please just Scoots, can you be here? And I say, yeah, don't worry, I'm here for you. I just said that other stuff because of there's cultural norms I'm supposed to follow. So, but you don't have, that's the best part of this show. You don't have to follow any cultural norms. And so if you're new, this really can throw you off because this podcast is by definition not normal. As Doc Brown once never said, norms, where we're going, we don't need any norms, except for you, Norman McFly, the youngest. This was in Back to the Future, the one that I never wrote. But it's, yeah, he says, norms. Then he said, just you, Norm, hardy har har. Or maybe they said it, maybe he said it in a way like he said, Norm, you just stay here. But I was meaning social norms. But also I just needed your sister. She's the protagonist of this movie. You're the one, we get a view of in the normal world, Norm. You're supposed to be, for once, Norm, you're a normie. Your role in this story is to stay here. We showed the ordinary world just like every Back to the Future is supposed to open. And then we'll return and see the results of, like your sister's journey into, where we need no norms. Oh, you're doing a sleep pod. Sorry about that. Thanks, Doc. I'll take it from here. So if you're new, a couple of things to know. This show could throw you way off, and that's totally normal. So if you're listening at this point and you're wondering what's going on or when I'm going to get to the point or really this is not making any sense, you're right. Or if you're doubtful or skeptical, I would be skeptical too, tuning into a sleep podcast with a creaky dulcet tones and pointless meanders. So those are all valid concerns. Just like Norm's valid concern would be, whoa. How come I would like to time travel? And Doc Brown says, trust me, it never goes as it's supposed to, Norm. So also this is just this car doesn't really, you'd have to, there's not really, it wasn't designed for 3 people. So, Doc, why don't you stay here and then my sister and I will go. And this could be, maybe instead of the magic, like this could be like your version. We could make these into children's books. I'm sorry, Norm. I think we're in the middle of a sleep podcast, not a fan fiction within a fan fiction podcast. Oh, you're right. Let me give it back to Scooter then. Thanks, Norm. Thanks, Doc. I'm back. So, if you're skeptical or doubtful, you should be. I mean, that's perfectly normal. A few things that usually help settle down the skepticism, but not always. One is to know you're not alone. Millions of people have listened to this show, or probably a lot more than that didn't like it, and then they just moved on. But of the regular listeners, they've said, hey, it takes 2 or 3 tries to get used to this podcast, and then you kind of start to become a regular listener. At first, you say, I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and it's not making any sense. So that's the first thing. The second thing is this is a podcast you don't really need to listen to, so you just kind of barely pay any attention. I guess leaning into this, who's Doc Brown? Oh, boy. Sometimes I make these references, and I'm just so, my cultural windows. So there's a movie called Back to the Future, which you may have heard of. You just don't know anything about it. Normal. Of course, I was making an A-double-S out of you, me, Doc, Norm, Lillian, who I think is Norm's sister. But most importantly, you. So... it's a movie about time travel with this quirky doctor. That's who Doc Brown is. Actually, it's just DOC. So I don't know. Anybody listen to DOC and the Doctor? That's another reference. If not, check it out. That's on Spotify. But, so I was just saying, so Doc Brown would be like a deep, interested scientist. So one thing you could do, the idea of not paying attention would be, hey, tell me more about that flux capacitor that you used to power time travel. Well, I get cozy here. Go on and on about all the detail. Oh, boy, can I tell you? I wanted to call it a flux capacitor, but it's actually a time flux capacitor. It's actually capacitors, but I combine them into one unit. So that would be where you stop listening, maybe. So that's kind of the thing with me. You don't need to, you can just barely pay me any attention. The other side of it is, even though this is a sleep podcast, it doesn't really put you to sleep. It just keeps you company. I'm going to be here for about an hour, so you could fall asleep whenever you want or just whenever it happens. But then if you can't sleep or you need me during the day, I'm here to the very end to keep you company. So either way, whether you're awake or asleep, I'm here. The good thing is I'm going to be here whether you're paying attention or not, so you don't really need to pay attention. It's optional. So those are 2 things. The next thing, what are the other things you need to know? I know there's other stuff. Structure the show. Maybe I'll tell you that next just because I forgot what else. When you have the cast of Back to the Future 9 running around in your head and you wonder, where are they going to go? Like, what is the situation that they have to solve by going to a place where there's no norms? You say, well, they're going into your sleep podcast, Scoots. Tell me about the norms that are, one norm of active or, listening. We don't need to follow that here. 2, of paying attention during a story. Don't need to do that. Of listening. Structurally, your show's a little bit different. Yep, you're right. It starts off with a greeting. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, so that people feel seen and they know they're welcome. Then there's, okay, so there's that part. Then there's the business. The business is what enables us to bring you the podcast twice a week. That's like 4 or 6 minutes or something. Actually, lately it's been less than that. But so that's what keeps the podcast going. Then there's an intro that's about 18 to 22 minutes or something. An intro that's 18 to 20 minutes, that doesn't sound normal, does it, Norm? No, it doesn't. Yeah, well, so the intro is like 18 to 20 minutes because it serves a couple of different purposes. One, it introduces the podcast to people that never heard it before, and they get an idea of, oh boy, what is this thing? It's a bit different. And this person has something like a sense of humor. Almost, they actually do have a sense of humor. They're not humorous. I just realized that term. It's like Scoots is the only person, one of the few people that does have a sense of humor. You see, man, he's not hilarious. He kind of people say that they throw that word around like they know what it means. No offense, but you say, I mean, don't you think so? You like say, am I usually you say, oh, I guess it would be, I have more of a scent of humor. You say, it's like you just barely, like, when you barely smell banana sometimes, you say, or maple syrup, you say, okay, I have just a bare scent, or is that a scent of cinnamon in there? That's Scooter. He has a scent of humor. Or also you could say he has a CENT of, you say, yeah, he has about a halfpenny he has a halfpenny of humor. But he has a bare sense of humor, I'd say. You're right, but that doesn't fit. But that's because something come up with the intro. But for a regular listener, all my regular listeners out there, what up? Like the intro serves a purpose of giving you some distance from the day and helping you slowly wind down and drift off. And so that's kind of, yeah, I mean, it gives you some distance. Like some people start listening before they get in bed while they're winding down. Some people are in bed getting comfortable. So you're just going to have to see how it goes as you become a regular listener. But it becomes part of your wind down routine, whether you're awake or you're asleep or you fall asleep during it, or you become one of the 2% of people that skip ahead to about 22 minutes. So that's the structure. And then there's the intro. Then there's business. That's how podcasting structure works, is that business is kind of the most important business, but that's just how it has to go in the structure of the show. And then there's a story. Tonight we'll be looking back at a famous movie about famous Michael Keaton. I don't know if it was a Michael Keaton vehicle, but oh boy, is it our friend Batal Joussa, as they may have said in France. That great movie, Batal Joussa, or Juego de Beetle Bailey. Yep, oh boy, that movie. So we'll be talking about that and seeing what I can remember from that movie, even though I've seen it recently, like in the last 10 months. And yeah, it's a little break between our TV show coverage. And then at the end of the podcast is thank yous and good nights. So that's the structure of the show. The only other things you need to know is, one, I make this show because I've been there, tossing and turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep. So I want to help. So that's one part of it. And the other part of it is you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a place where you could rest and get comfortable. And our world will be a better place. If you're rested and you could flourish, or you just have a little bit better, it's if your life's better, my life's better. It's really that simple. And if I could help you get the rest you need, that's even better, right? So that's why I make the show, because I've been there. I know how it feels, and you deserve more. And I think that's it. I mean, the rest you'll kind of get an idea of if you're new. I'm glad you're here. I work very hard. I yearn and I strive. I really appreciate you coming by. And these are a couple of ways I'm able to bring you this podcast twice a week. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts you're thinking about, thoughts, feelings, physical sensations. So things on your mind from the past, present, or future, anything physically you're feeling or emotionally you're experiencing, or it could be many, many other things. Changes in time, temperature, work stuff, life stuff, unknown. You say, I don't know. I don't understand. Everything's like, that's the one that, I don't know. That one really gets me every time. I say, I thought I did everything right. But whatever it is, I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off of stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones. You say, what do you say? What are they called? Creaky, dulcet tones, like a creaky. Here's something else that hasn't been glorified on this podcast. Or what do you call it? What does Hollywood do? glamorize it, right? Here's another thing that just doesn't get the credit it deserves when it, like, actually, now that we're talking about it, there's a lot of different times this should get good credit. Hopefully I'll remember to come back to it, but creaky floors. Because I was just going to say, when you say creaky dulcet tones, okay, creaky, like a creaky floor, but dulcet. So it'd be like a creaky floor on your favorite floor or your favorite room or your favorite place to be. Like you'd say, well, you know that spot where we'd get our favorite summer treat? Oh boy, I can just remember 4 steps into that old spot, I'd hear that creaking floor and I'd feel that feeling because I was about to order my favorite summer treat. Not only nostalgia, because I do it in the present day, too. So that would be more of a creaky. That's my new collection of collectibles. Creaky dulcet moments, or creaky moment. Yeah, creaky dulcet moments. The creaky dulcet moment collection. Now not available, or probably won't ever be. Maybe that's what tonight's episode will be about, though. Yeah, let's do that. Creaky dulcet moments. Because that'll save me from having to figure it out right now. So, but anyway, so creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, which we just went on one, superfluous tangents. So if you're new, really what I'm trying to do is create a safe place where that I can send to you, where you could feel like you could come and visit, or we could share, or just you could use it. It's really like I'm sending it to you. You do what you do. That's the nice thing is you could do whatever you wish with it. This is an adaptable, safe place. And what I mean by that is, well, one form of adaptation is that this podcast does not work for everybody. So some people, they turn it off, or they just say, well, this isn't necessarily helping. Or you might be arriving for the first, second, or third time, doubtful, skeptical, frowny, or your expectations are not being met. And I want to say that is a very legitimate reaction to this podcast, very normal. Because, like, that's what most people feel when they turn this show on. Of course you're skeptical. How many times have you been told something's going to help you fall asleep and it didn't necessarily help you fall asleep? Or doubtful, you say, your creaky dulcet tones and your pointless blathering. I'm just using a strong word for now to make an example. You say your pointless blathering's supposed to put me to sleep, or this nonsense, and I'd say, maybe, we'll see. So if you're feeling that way, that's normal. I want to point that out. Because most listeners, 90-something% of people that listen to the show say, it took 2 or 3 tries before I realized the show was for me. So just kind of see how it goes. The podcast is best consumed in a very loose way. So if you're waiting for it to start making sense or start putting you to sleep, kind of pay a little bit less attention, or just, and I don't mean it like, in an active way, like you just kind of tune me out. This is the one podcast you could multitask to. Ideally, you're multitasking by sleeping, but I'll get into how the intro works, because most stuff, you want to be in the moment. And this actually is kind of to take your mind off of stuff so the rest of you can be in the moment, getting comfortable. Because I don't want to encourage you to multitask. I just want to encourage you to not to pay, that you don't have to pay a lot of attention to me. So that's another thing. 1, this podcast isn't for everybody. 2, it's a podcast you really don't need to listen to. You can just kind of barely listen. And 3, this is a bit of out there too. This is a sleep podcast that doesn't really put you to sleep. It keeps you company while you drift off. But I'm more here as your bedtime companion, just talking, than I really am putting you to sleep. You're falling asleep and barely paying attention to me. And the other side of that is, if you can't sleep, I'm going to be here to the very end. I'm here to keep you company whether you're awake or asleep. So if you can't sleep, there's listeners that can't sleep. There's listeners that listen during the day. There's listeners that are going through something and they can't sleep. There's listeners, I'm here. That's why the show's an hour. It's an hour, so you don't have to worry about when you're going to fall asleep, and you also don't have to worry if you can't sleep. You say, well, I got Scoots here for an hour. I got episode after episode after episode if I need it. So that's another part of it. Moving on to the next few things that can throw listeners off is the structure of the show. And this also goes back to the multitasking. Now, regular listeners, they know what I'm going to say. They just don't know the manner I'm going to say it because I change that every time. But this show is structurally very different. It starts off with a greeting, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary. And that ideally is to make you feel welcome and seen and invited in. You say, hey, check this out. I got a place set aside for you. But here's the irony. You go ahead and pick it out. Like, there's a place here for you, but you go ahead and pick it out. See what works for you. So that's the greeting. Then there's business, probably like 4 or 6 minutes of business or something like that. That's how we're bringing the podcast to you twice a week, is the people that take action on that. But that's more for regular listeners. If you're new, that's not important. Then we move into an intro, which is about 12 to 20 minutes of me explaining what the podcast is. And those two things can really throw new listeners off because they say, what, like, because I think most of the time they say, what are you getting to the point? Are you just talking about the podcast or is it all business? And I say, well, it's the business of going off topic. The intro. The bedtime story and the intro are kind of like you could separate them, but I'll get into the method. It is adaptable. You could start the show at 20 minutes, or you could become a patron and listen to story-only episodes. But for the most part, this is what works in some different style for most listeners. So the intro is like 18 to 20 minutes, we'll say, and it's me kind of introducing the podcast to the new listener, but for the regular listener, they get to multitask while I'm doing the intro because it eases you into bedtime, lets the day drift away. So for a regular listener, and you could discover what works for you, and you could keep changing it up. Some people are listening as they're getting ready for bed. Some people are doing it as they're getting comfortable and they're getting settled in. And like some people are knitting or drawing or petting their pets or combing, brushing their hair, maybe maybe they're getting massage, giving massage, foam rolling. Maybe you're making your bed or, this is something. And sometimes I don't pause to do this, but when I do a pillow reset, no, that's another one that's never come up on this. This is why I do these intros, because this stuff doesn't come up. I mean, that I remember. I don't ever remember glorifying creaky floors before, which I'll do hopefully in this episode. And I also don't remember talking about pillow reset, which is a really important thing in my life. That so many times I'm in such a hurry to get into bed and toss and turn, I don't pause and do a pillow reset, which is one, getting my pillows back in my pillowcases, because whatever I'm doing to my pillows at night, practice kissing and other things, maybe when I'm asleep, I don't know, not when I'm awake. But they get out of their pillowcases and, also, they kind of get de-poofed, and also I have 2 pairs of pillows that I have paired up, which I have talked about before. Mostly I get them in their pillowcases, but I have 2 softer pillows that are, they could go under my head. Now, I know these aren't for everybody, but and then I have 2 that are a little bit firmer that I either will grip into my arm or put under my legs, or put over my head, depending on my mood. And I like my pillow temperatures. Like I like to be able to switch up between the 2 pairs, and that way, I got my options. But what I fail to do a lot of times is I just get in bed instead of doing a pillow reset. And, making it nice. They say, okay, I'm going to get my pillows lined up here before I get in bed, get those pillowcases on. And I don't know why it seems so, if you listen to this podcast, you probably can relate to this. Why then, if I do it before I get in bed, it's easy, but for some reason I usually skip over it. But if I try to do it once I'm in bed, and even if the lights are on or out, it seems like such a monumental task. I'm like, well, I just got to live with it now. This pillow's halfway outside its pillowcase. I can't possibly put the emotional wherewithal together to deal with this tonight. And I might even, that's when the brain bots start. I might be like, geez, I wish I was the kind of person that really dialed it in before I got into bed, but now it's just too late. I'm stuck with this pillow that's sticking out, and man, isn't it? I mean, if you're listening to me, it's funny, but it's weird that it's true. You're like, just going to have to deal with this. I'm never going to get to sleep now that my pillow is like 1/8 out of its pillowcase. And I can't possibly, I don't know what it is. Like, this is really what it's like for me. I say, I can't possibly pause and sit up in bed and realign my pillows unless it's like so great, but I'll be doing it like, it'd be like, I don't even know. Like I would do it with such, like a vigor would be a strong, like light version of the kind of feelings I would be feeling if I actually did sit up and try to rearrange my pillows. It'd be like, I'd be so disappointed. I'd be like, I guess I just got to rearrange these pillows now. What an onerous thing to have to do. So, yeah, maybe tonight, but while you're listening to the intro, you could do a pillow reset, or maybe that's a reminder. You say, okay, that's great, Scoots, because I was just getting ready for bed. I was actually doing my slipper reset where I had my spring slippers, my summer split slippers, which I call splippers, just because, I don't know, I like it. And you say, cool. So I forgot. Oh, that's why the intro's so long, to explain what in a long way to the new listener. Why is the intro so long and pointless? Well, there you go. That's why, because I am who I am. So that's why the intro's so long. But so if you're multitasking, whether you're resetting your pillows or you're petting your pets, maybe you're bombing your elbows, maybe you're kissing your shoulders, whatever it is, you got time to ease into bedtime. So that's the intro. Then there's business between the intro and the episode. Then tonight it'll be some sort of random episode about Creaky Dulcet. Oh, I did the Creaky Dulcet Door collection by Dior. But this is Creaky Dulcet Moments. I guess it would have been at one of those stores that sells things like that. Like where you'd buy, well, I wouldn't buy ornaments there because I'd say those ornaments are too expensive. But not collectibles though. I don't know. Kind of know what I'm talking. A store that sells stuff with moments. A store with moments in the title. So that'll be the episode. Then there's some thank yous at the end. So that's the structure of the show and kind of the things to know coming into it. If you're a regular listener, welcome back. Glad to have you here. And then the other things to know is I make this show because you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a safe place. And if I can provide that for you, it's my honor. And the reason it's my honor is because I've been there. Clearly, you just heard what I go through just with pillows. That's just a scratch on the surface. I mean, I don't even think I talked to my therapist about that. I mean, because probably my therapist would have said, well, I would have known that already. Thank you for informing me. But let's really talk, let's actually talk about it. Like, are you sure you're not just filling time now? Did you prepare that, Andrew, before you came in tonight? Just in case you didn't have it, you were not comfortable. And I say, you got me. You really know me well. That's the therapist that lives within me. But I say, Did you practice that in the car on the drive over, just in case there was some dead air in here? And I'd say, yeah, I did. I practiced it on a podcast intro too, months ago. So that actually gives me even more reassurance. I say, well, I'm going to get to use this intro twice, and maybe I'll prep my pillows more. But you deserve a good night's sleep, and I've been there tossing and turning. So I hope I can help. I mean, the only thing is clearly this podcast doesn't work for everybody. I'm a bit different. So just see how it goes. See if it works for you. Give it a few tries, because I work really hard at Uranus Drive. I really want to help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways we're able to keep this podcast coming out twice a week. Thanks. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots, and I'm just kind of running through here as I tuck you in. I've been trying to talk about the goals around the podcast, right? I don't know if you're hearing this and you're new, or you only listen once in a while, don't worry about this part too much. But if you're one of those that are super listeners, those are people that listen longer than a year, listen to more than 2 or 3 episodes a week, listen all night long, or fall asleep fast. 40,000 of those listeners, and you listen about 10 to 40 times more than a regular listener, because a regular listener just comes to the show when they need it, at the start of the school year, when they change jobs, when they have their first child, when something big happens in their life and it takes them a few months and they need the show then, and then they know they can count on the show the next time something like that comes up. Those people count on the show, and people that aren't in a position to financially support the show count on the show, and people that are just discovering the show for the first time count on the show. But if you're one of those super listeners, if I can't get you and about 400 others, so 1% of super listeners in 2 years, I don't think the show will be around. I'll be honest with you. So we could really use your support if you're a super listener. And actually, your support will change the future of the podcast at this point. Either way, like if you spread the word about the show, it'll help us grow. And when the show grows, more people benefit from it. The show will grow supporters that way. If you support the show directly, if you're a super listener and you're in a position where you could cut back on one of the streaming services, or you can already afford to support the show, your $60 a year, your $120 a year, your $240 a year will make the difference. Particularly right now, the show's in, it will. It'll either make the difference, your $7 a month of the show being here in 2 years, or if you put it off, that's about the thing we're looking at right now, at least as far as, anyway, I don't want to get to that point, but I don't think we need to, because we only need 1 out of every 100 super listeners to support the show, and it'll be fine. But if we can't get that 1 out of every 100, 1 out of 100 super listeners, but I think everybody thinks that it's somebody else, or that they'll do it tomorrow, and that never hasn't, it just isn't the case. So I don't know, if you're listening right now, I thought I was going to lay out the goals. Where did I get off topic, or did I already lay them out? Well, my goals, I don't know if I've achieved them. In these post rolls, I'm like a little more freeform. My goals with the show is to bring you relief, to bring you comfort in the deep, dark night. So if you're still listening to this, don't worry. Got hundreds and hundreds of other episodes, multiple episodes coming out every week, story-only episodes coming out every week now. Past 2 years, we finally reached the goal of having 5 different things come out every single week in the listener ad-supported versions of the show, so that you have stuff. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And what was did I have a point? Now I got mixed up. But my goal is for the podcast to be here, to bring you comfort in the deep, dark night, to bring you relief, to bring you distraction, to bring you sleepy joy and delight, to either help you fall asleep, or to know somebody's there to be with you when you can't sleep, that you could count on, that's there to distract you. That's the biggest goal of the show, is to be there for you and for people around the world that count on this podcast. That's what the show really means to me, because I record the podcast now in the same room I couldn't sleep as a kid. And even though I was in a house of people, even though I shared the room with my brother, I felt like I was on my own. And I just wanted to know someone was there that understood what that was like, to just sit with me and to offer me some kind of relief. And that's not, I mean, it's really not possible except through the magic of podcasting. And that's why the show's so important to me, and why I get so strong feeling about this stuff. So, yeah, so there's that. That's the biggest goals of the show. Second biggest goal of the show is that it's free for anybody to find it and to use it and discover it, like just like you discovered the show. Because it was free. It's so different, and it only works for the people it works for. It being free, and being able people to be able to take 2 or 3 tries to get used to the show makes all the difference, right? And it's out there free now for anybody to discover it, that it's going to help. Because it only helps the people it helps. I think I keep saying that again and again and again, but it's like no one has any idea that something like this exists until they find it, and that they may have a vague idea that something like this would help them, but until they see it helps them. And the only way that works is the show's free and available for them to find it. And then there's people who just can't support the show for whatever reason, and they count on the show too. Some of them are super listeners, and other people just discover the show when they need it. They listen to it time to time whenever they need it. Maybe I already talked about that too, but having the show free makes a big difference in a lot of people's lives. And then I would love to keep working on this podcast, keep making new episodes, stay on as the host and all the other work I do on the show. I'm not ready to let go of this podcast. I'm not ready to give up on it. And every time I kind of push, I'm trying a little bit different now to be as clear as I can. Like, what's in it for you? To feel great and amazing, right? The relief and the comfort in the deep, dark night you get from this show on a regular basis. And somebody else out there. In fact, 99 other people out there, their comfort and joy and delight. Like if you're an all-night listener and you support the show, you're supporting it for 99 other all-night listeners. If you fall asleep fast, you're supporting it for 99 other fall asleep fast listeners. And then all the other people that listen, the regular listeners, the non-super listeners. But yeah, like realistically, those low-level goals, I guess I already mentioned the goals. I think this is my second thing. Those are going to be the ones that are going to be the toughest over the next year or two. Because, I don't want to move on from the show or turn it over to another company or something like that. I love the challenge of making this podcast and being here for you. So if you're listening right now, you are the only person listening and paying attention right now, particularly if you're a super listener. Please consider supporting the show directly at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, or by spreading the word about the show. If you're a super listener, consider letting a person know on a regular basis. Because once you hit 100 people, then one of those people will be able to support the show, and you'll change their life too. You'll be the person bringing people sleepy joy and delight, comfort in the deep, dark night. So thanks so much.